Pada hari pemain nombor 10 yang telah menjaringkan gol setelah berlaku perturunan.
Malaysian Football Weekly kicks off right now on All Sports Asia.
This is MFW11. Thanks a lot for joining us. This week we've got Kesshanan from FourFourTwo.com.
Hello, Ross.
Hello. We've also got Vijhay Vick from 442 Malaysia.
Hi, Brent.
Do follow us on Facebook. It's Malaysian Football Weekly. Also, All Sports Asia on Facebook. Check out the website. It's allsports.net. And you can follow us on Twitter at All Sports Asia. Now, a lot to talk about. 3 games left in the Super League to go. Malaysia Cup is at the quarter-final stages. We're going to be covering all that, but we have to start with the Super League this week, and all eyes were on Jenka on Wednesday night as the top 2 battled it out, and what a game. 5-goal thriller. It all started off, well, okay, let's start with refereeing decisions, because as early as the 6th minute, we saw a Safiq Rahim free kick off the crossbar, then there was an off the line. They looked cross the line.
Well, it certainly looked across the line, but we've also seen goals from that angle, we've also seen shots from that angle, which to us it looked like it crossed the line.
Yeah.
When you use goal line technology, it doesn't. And when you don't have goal line technology or even a fourth, I don't think there was a fourth
official.
There was a fourth official on the linesman on the line yesterday. You have to give the referee the benefit of the doubt.
Yeah, and it happened again just before half-time, right? Okay, moving on from that, the game turned in the 14th minute when Azni Taib was taken off. They brought on the 35-year-old sprightly young man, Amri Yahya, and he's still very good, isn't he, Kish?
I mean, that finish for a 35-year-old player, that was absolutely incredible. It just goes to show how well Amri Yahya takes care of himself, how much of a professional he is as a footballer. And that was a great finish, and eventually he made a long-lasting impact on the game. And the way Amri Yahya has been playing this year, it clearly shows that he could go on to play at least 1 or 2 more years at JDT, and they've got a real experienced gem with him inside.
The saddest part of it all is he's still head and shoulders Malaysia's best player.
Well, I would say best player, but he's
in there. He's up there.
He's among the best forwards we have.
Yeah. Okay, it was all very nice. JDT were 2-0 up, they were cruising, and then it all turned, didn't it? Hadin Azman with a scorcher.
Yeah, and we all knew that Felda were more than capable of doing this. They've been doing it all season long. They've been producing comebacks, they've been scraping through victories. Just 2 weeks ago, we remembered that game when they played against Terengganu, when they were down 2-0 at halftime, and then they rallied back and got a 2-2 draw at the end of the game. So they were more than capable of doing it. What was surprising for me was how shocked JDT looked after Harin Azman's goal. They just looked shocked at the back. They started looking a bit messy at the back as well.
Yeah.
Stuff that you rarely see from JDT, considering how solid and how consistent they've been all season long.
Do you reckon Felda gave them a bit too much respect? They looked nervous at the start, didn't they?
Well, they looked nervous. I think defensively they were all over the place.
Yeah.
They were coping with some changes to the lineup as well. Christie was not there.
Yeah.
Lutfullah was not there. But yeah, they have been playing without Lutfullah for some time. But this is against the best team in Malaysia, and you don't have one of your best players around.
Exactly. Yeah.
And those who have been watching Felda will see that the midfield combination of Zarahan and Lutfullah are just the best. I dare say it's the best in the league. You'll not find anything better than that. And without Lutfullah, Zarahan was by himself. If you notice, a lot of balls, JDT were playing the long balls as well, and that was where Felda could not cope.
Yeah.
I'd agree completely with Vijay. I think Lutfullah was a very big miss, especially so in a game against JDT, because he's the guy that sits right at the back and just forms that protective membrane which allows Zarahan the freedom and creativity to move forward and blend in with Forkido and score goals and create chances. But we barely saw that yesterday.
But when you're Felda United and you're facing the best team in the league, you need your full complement of 11 on the field. When Nur Fazli went off in the 59th minute, you thought, right, okay. And sure enough, a minute later, the
Barely
winner.
a minute later.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean, who's going to stop them now? No one, right? 3 games left. Can you see them losing?
Nah, they well, mathematically they need 3 points, but I think 2 is going to be good enough. I don't see them losing a 12 count goal difference as well. It's theirs to lose. It'll be very surprising and perhaps one of the shocks this year if they don't win it.
Okay, so JDT very nearly on their getting their hands on their 3rd consecutive league title. Kedah are up to 3rd. Well, they're cementing 3rd place as their own. They were impressive 2-1 winners in Kota Baru. This was a bit of a surprise because Kelantan actually, well, they went into this in quite good form.
But I think we've got to give credit to Tan Cheng Ho for the way he has shaped up his side. Let's not forget that just about a month and a half ago and about 2 months ago, people were calling for him to be sacked.
I wouldn't call them people. I'm going to go up and say some clowns.
Yeah, clowns were calling them to be sacked. And
Well, what fans were they?
Yeah, fans. Well, I can't really remember.
Keyboard warriors.
I even saw stories and I'm like, what the hell is this?
Yeah, you know. and you had guys like Azrai Kaur, ex Kedah.
It's a man
coach.
who bleeds green. Yeah,
and he publicly came out and said, "Guys, look, we have got to be realistic." Tan Cheng Ho is really clearly punching above his weight, and he's done exceptionally well for Kedah. And he's just shown again that, there was a minor blip earlier in the season, and even about a month ago, there was a bit of inconsistency. But yet again, he has managed to get his squad back together, and they've rallied back to play really, really well. I mean, Liridon Krasniqi has been an excellent player this year. Agreed. And I think they can really build on for next year if they invest well in the transfer market and if they keep Tan Cheng Ho.
Yeah. Who else but Badro Bakhtiar to pop up with the injury time winner as well. On to Kuching we go, where tempers were flared in Kuching. The game ended Sarawak 1, Selangor 1. Now, there was an incident. Explain, Vijay.
Well, if you ask Selangor officials, they're going to tell you, oh, well, the matter's solved, players have apologized and all that.
There was a disagreement between Ugo and Bunyamin.
Yeah, it's bloody sorry.
It's alright, we're a podcast, it's fine, good swear.
It is embarrassing. It's well, the second incident that I can confirm, and apparently there was a third incident as well. First you had Hafiz Kamal Olavi at the start of the season. A few weeks back in Pahang, I got some texts from some fans saying that Rasman and Patrick, if I'm not mistaken, got into an argument as well. I can't confirm that, but I can confirm that yesterday Uka headbutted Bunyamin.
It looked like they were coming together accidentally at first. And then when you realise, you go, hang on a sec.
It's been a real mess of a season for Selangor, hasn't it? They've just looked out of sorts, not only on the pitch, but just in terms of the general camaraderie inside the dressing room. I don't think players have really rallied behind Zainal Abidin, especially after how inconsistent they were, getting into the season, and especially when you consider the manner in which Durakovic was released at the end of last season after winning the Malaysia Cup. So there's a lot of general discontent within the dressing room, and it's being translated onto the pitch. And as Vijay mentioned, we've already seen 3 incidents between players, and in the latest one yesterday, it's not even involving a player who has been at the club for more than a year. It's a new guy. Uka was just joined Selangor in June, and he's already showing his discontent on the pitch by headbutting Bunyamin.
Well, Uka has come out on social media and apologized profusely to his teammates, to Selangor and to the fans. And one way of looking at it is fighting spirit. The team.
Yeah, but you can't be fighting with your teammates.
Not with your own teammates.
That's just going to destroy your game. As a professional, it should never happen.
Yeah. Do you reckon Mehmet Durakovic is going, sitting somewhere going,
Well, for 2 years he went on and saying that I'm building a family-orientated squad, and well,
this family is
doesn't look like a family now.
a bit fractured at the moment.
Fair, last year they looked very, very much like a family.
Yeah.
And this year, even especially for Ugo Uka right now, it's going from bad to worse, because not only that he is constantly being compared with Rob Conthwaite, and statistics apparently show that if Selangor have conceded more goals with Uka in their side compared to having Rob Conthwaite in their side. So with last night's incident, it just gets from bad to worse for Ugo Uka, and you can only wonder whether I mean, he's probably going to last till the end of the season. I don't realistically see him there next year.
I know.
No, it's not just him. A lot of others need to leave though.
Definitely.
Yeah, I know Selangor fans are very vocal, and we might get the spokesperson of the fan club back on again very, very soon. Let's move on then. In Ipoh, Perak sent Penang back into the relegation zone after it was a thrashing, wasn't it? It was Perak 4, Penang 1. Kenny Palraj, the man.
Well, the homeboy's getting excited.
The homeboy's getting excited.
What I'm really excited about is how, and I think we spoke about this a couple of weeks back as well, is how Karl-Heinz Wegang has transformed Kenny Palraj into a formidable defensive midfielder. And I think the victory was a great victory, but I think Perak fans are still reeling from the disappointment of not qualifying for the knockout stages of the Malaysia Cup right now, especially after having started our campaign in the Malaysia Cup well, but we just blipped towards the end of the group stages. So it's been a story of our seain inconsistency. In very big games, we've done really well. We've gone to JDT and just conceded 1 goal. We've beaten Felda at home.
But it's all about
Penang apart yesterday.
It's all about the continuity, like all Malaysian club sides.
And I think the bigger question for Perak right now is, the fans have seen the bright sparks. They've seen Kenny Palraj. They've seen players coming through the ranks like Beto and a couple of other youngsters as well. The question becomes, what's the plan for next year? Because over the past 4-5 years, it's been the same old story again. We've started the season with a bunch of young players claiming that they want to win the title, they want to win cups, they want to win trophies. But halfway through the season, the coach gets sacked, and then a new coach gets brought in, and they try to salvage.
Old coach gets brought in.
An ex-coach gets brought in, and they try to salvage the season. And it doesn't work out, and then it goes back to the drawing board again. So are we going to really go back to the drawing board for the 6th consecutive season in a row?
That in a nutshell is Malaysian football. Just explained by Kesshanan just then. Vijay, let's take a look at Penang. They're back down in 11th spot now. Okay, let's assume Pahang are gone. It's a case of who's going to follow Pahang down. You've got Penang, and then you've got Terengganu, Sarawak, even PDRM. They're all in the mix there for that last relegation spot. Let's concentrate on Penang. They need to stay up, right? They've got proper management in. They're trying to professionalize things up there.
Well, we've all seen this happen in Malaysian football one too many times that until it goes on for a few years, I'm not going to be convinced that they've actually have a proper setup there. We've seen clubs, even Pahang came up last year and said that, okay, we're privatising, and 3 months down the road, what do you get? You get the CEO tendering his resignation.
And you got players' wages unpaid.
Putting that aside, let's just look at the team. I don't think they've got a team good enough for the Super League yet.
But does the fact that they're not involved in the Malaysia Cup help them though?
That's what I'm getting at. I think they will stay because they don't have the Malaysia Cup to think about.
And all they need is survive.
Now you've got other teams like Sarawak, Pahang and all who have not progressed to the next round of the Malaysia Cup, so they may face a battle down there. But let's see. They're trying to do something, and it'll be great if it works.
Okay. Moving on, T-Team, point off Perak in 7th. They had a 2-1 away win at PDRM. They went 2 up through Noor Hakim and Dilshot. In the end, PDRM pulled one back, but they're involved in the relegation battle, PDRM, along with Sarawak, Terengganu, Penang. And taking a look at the table then, after 19 rounds, at the top you got JDT, 7-point lead, 3 games to play. Vijay says 2 points needed, 1 draw, I'm saying. That's good enough, probably. Kedah have a 3-point cushion between Selangor and themselves in 3rd. And at the bottom, Pahang doomed, obviously. Penang replaced Terengganu in a relegation spot, and you gotta worry for the likes of Sarawak and PDRM also looking over their shoulders. Round 20 then, I believe, will happen after the international break. Is that right?
Yep, it's on September 9th and
9th and 10th, round 20 matches. JDT will take on Terengganu. It depends on their Malaysia Cup run. They're not going to be too bothered now with the league, I guess.
Well, both teams are out of the Malaysia Cup as well.
Oh, yeah.
But JDT have got the AFC Cup.
Of course, that's what I meant.
I think they can field the second squad draw the remaining 3 matches and still win the title. All focus should go to the AFC Cup.
Yeah, well, Selangor have a chance of getting 3rd spot back because they host Pahang, and then you've got Kedah versus Perak, which is quite tasty.
Yeah, I mean it's a traditional rivalry. Both sides just, I mean, the fans just hate one another. It's
But
the
Perak
northern
fans
derby.
hate everyone.
Controversial, but yeah, fair enough. It's a bit of. I'm not going to say anything. I mean, we have seen plenty of controversy at the Perak Stadium in the last few years.
Against just about every other.
Against just about every other team. Yeah. So the one against Kedah will be feisty as well. I really like Tan Cheng Ho as a coach.
Yeah.
I think he's one of the smartest
Yeah.
coach that we have here, and his people management skills apparently, according to sources, are pretty decent as well. So I think that should be a good battle. But I'm a lot more interested, as you mentioned, Ross, in the relegation battle that's gonna take place right now. I think Pahang are probably out of the equation already. Yeah, sort of. But the rest, especially Sarawak, the fans are desperate to not see them go down again. And I think some of the fans have brought up a valid concern that could it be that Sarawak and even Sabah tend to struggle in the MSL because of how frequently they just have
travel,
to fly in and out.
The whole geography of it. Yeah.
And apparently it hurts the fitness or the general lethargy level within the squads as well.
Well,
So
that certainly
that should be interesting.
Yep, certainly is something to think about. Right, that's our look at the MSL. Very short break. When we come back, then it's Malaysia Cup action.
This is MFW on All Sports Asia.
MFWTV 11 Part 2. Kesshanan and Vijhay still here with us. We now turn our attentions to the Malaysia Cup. Now we're down to the knockout stage. Let's take a look at the last round of matches. Some action from there. Last Friday, Kedah wrapped up top spot in Group A. They had an impressive 3-0 away win at Sarawak at the State Stadium. You know that stadium really well, don't you? But yeah, I mean, Kedah going good in the Malaysia Cup as well as we spoke before in the MSL.
Yeah, and I think now with JDT out of the equation, Kedah are really major favourites for the Malaysia Cup title. Obviously, you've got a couple of other teams who are more than capable of pulling something off. We have seen what PKNS can pull off in cup competitions. Felda are still in the picture, aren't they? Yeah.
Yep.
And you've got Kedah in the mix as well. But with JDT out, I think it's anyone's trophy to win, really. All teams are equally on par. Maybe you'd give Felda a bit more credit in terms of squad depth, squad ability, but otherwise all teams are equally on par and are good enough to challenge one another. And Tan Cheng Ho will really be looking at himself and say, hey, look, I've had a lot of criticisms on my back over the past 2 months, and this is like an incredible chance for me to silence the fans.
It really would be, wouldn't it?
I don't really think he actually has anything to do because I don't agree that he's got to silence some fans or what, because the fans have been ridiculous.
Yeah, I agree, but it's just like a symbolism.
Because if you look at Cheng Ho, it's a Premier League team last year, went on to seek
Got promotion, yeah.
Played in the Super League. They're currently in 3rd. I doubt Selangor look anywhere capable of especially what's happening right now. And they reached the Malaysia Cup final last year.
It's all going well.
Yeah, it's all going well.
Yeah. Okay. T-Team qualify in 2nd spot from Group A despite losing in Pasir Gudang. The only goal of the match, surprisingly, Amir Sadin, 10 minutes from full time, but it didn't matter because T-Team were well ahead. It was a case of who's going to finish top, and because Kedah won, T-Team were quite happy to follow them through in 2nd.
Yeah, I just wonder what's going to happen to the T-Team project at the end of the season, because I think over the years
Is Terengganu big enough to house 2 teams?
Well, they're certainly big enough to house 2 problems.
That's well answered.
but T-Team, with the very minimal resources that they've had, and the astute signings they've made, I think they've looked a lot more encouraging than the main Terengganu FA team this year. And Rahmat Dermawan has been like brilliant in terms of just grinding out victories. We've never seen T-Team really playing ball out of the park and winning 4-5-0 in games. They go in, they get stuck in, the players are 100% committed in games, and they grind out victories. And we've seen them do it over and over again. I mean, they're there in the Super League.
It's
in
not
mid-table.
bad for a team which was actually prepared for the Premier League.
Yeah,
Exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
They're there in the mid-table, and they're in the knockout stages. of the
Anything
Malaysia
is a
Cup. Job
plus
well
now
done.
this season, isn't
Job
it?
well done.
Okay, well, in Group B, Selangor qualified as champions despite only managing a draw in their final group game against KL. Back in the old day, this used to be a feisty derby.
Yeah, back today probably can't even attack 1,000 fans.
Not even us.
1,000's okay, a bit too much. Maybe 5,000.
But yeah, I mean, 1-1, it just carries on the current state of Selangor as they are at the moment. The other Group B game, though, saw Kelantan follow Selangor through in second, despite losing 2-0 in Kuantan. That was a bit of a surprise. Or was it just all reserves out there?
I think it also boils down to fatigue. And we've seen Velizar Popov constantly talk about this in public.
Everyone else has the same schedule.
Yeah, and when fatigue comes into the picture, then I think it becomes a complete...
And if you look at where Kelantan is, there's a lot of travelling as well involved in
Yeah. I mean, that's one thing. But at the same time, I don't think Velizar Popov has the necessary squad depth to be playing at the highest peak of the team's performance week in, week out. When they're fresh, when they're free, we have seen them play really, really well. But when they've had like very difficult games in spaces of 3-4 days in a row, we've seen them really dip in form. Now, I mean, obviously we can go out there and say it's in the world of football, it's common. It's common to play games every 3-4 days once. Even you go to Europe, you have Champions League games.
You do try telling a European Premier League player that.
It's easy for us to step up and say that, but I think at the end of the day, it's also easy for us to point the blame on player and say, yeah, you're not fit enough to play 3-4 days. But I think understanding what the reality that Kelantan is facing right now, I think I can understand why they've been really, really intense.
Yeah, that's why hiccups.
And it's not really. I mean, we also got to understand that this is not the squad that Popov built for himself either. With the exception of several foreign players, it's been a squad that he completely inherited from the previous coach. So the mission for Popov would rather be see through the season and let's plan for what happens next year.
Alright, so Selangor and Kelantan through in Group B. Now, Group C entered match day 6 with all 4 teams still with a chance to make it through to the quarterfinals. PDRM topped the group with 10 points thanks to their 2-1 win against Perak. Surprised?
Very surprised, because there was a point when we were on top of the group,
cruising too.
Cruising, yeah, exactly. And we looked completely set, like we're going to qualify, and it almost seemed like JDT were out of the picture. You know? Like they were going to be out, and it almost seemed like PDRM were also going to be out of the picture. But well, it's if you support Perak, then I would really feel for you, because these are things that you've just got to get used to. We've seen this happen over and over again when we've looked good at one point, but we just crumble the following week, and that has happened. We crumbled in the last 2 games, and we're deservingly out. We can't say it's unjustified because we did crumble at the end of the day.
The other Group C game then, it was a draw between PKNS and JDT. 1 win for the Super League giants in the FA. Will Gomez's head roll for this failure?
Well, definitely not. There's so many ways of looking at this. The club themselves have come up and said that, you know what, Malaysia Cup is not important and all that. I'm a bit disappointed that they've not gone through, because I pity a lot of players at the club who don't get regular football.
Who were like looking towards
Gary, Falishas, Dominic. These are players who, well, not Dominic, but the other 2 players are players who could be playing for Malaysia, the AFF, and well, let's see how many games they play until the end of the season. I'm probably going to say that, maybe 1, 2 until November? Yeah. That's not good. So they should have placed a bit more of importance. Yes, it's not important in the bigger picture, but
they have the resources.
Yeah, they have the resources, and for the development of their players, this was a competition that they should have gone through. I think it's a failure that they have not gone through, despite using a second squad without foreigners, because you look at the names there. Yeah, they've got a second squad that is capable to finish probably 3rd in the league.
Okay,
but I think it also bodes well with the exit. Actually bodes well with their AFC Cup aspirations. Yeah, because let's face it, last year they did win it, and full credits to them. but there was a bit of a bonus in the semi-finals, and you know they got past teams that were significantly stronger than them by virtue of suspension, and I think they know for a fact that it's going to be a lot more difficult to replicate the feat.
And if
actually they could reach the final quite easily.
If you let them choose
with the new format of it.
But I think with if they were to combine Malaysia Cup duties with Super League duties and AFC Cup duties,
but they have a squad big enough.
Yeah, but I think that's the angle that Mario Gomez was looking for.
Yeah. Okay.
In the sense that it bodes well for
they're out of the Malaysia Cup. PDRM and PKNS through in Group C. The top two faced off in Group D, and Negeri Sembilan got the win they needed against Felda. They didn't look like qualifying for ages, Negeri, from this group. They've come good, slowly.
They have. And we even talked about this a couple of weeks back as well. It's a very resilient side. They don't play the most fancy football out there. But they just get the job done.
But to be fair, Irfan Bhakti rested a lot of. He fielded mostly second stringers. Syukur Adan didn't play. Farizal Harun was on the bench. Only Gilberto was there, and not good enough. Said Adni, another clean sheet. What?
Are you surprised, Ross?
No, he's a good goalie.
You sound surprised.
Goran Jerkovic and Nizam Roslan scored the winning goals in the second half. So that win for N9 meant that it was irrelevant what Malacca did in against Terengganu, even though it was a very valiant 2-0 away win. Do you feel for Malacca? They wanted a cup run, didn't they?
No, not really. I think they've made it clear that the Malaysia Cup was not as important as seeking promotion.
Which
to
they
Super
have
League,
now.
Which they are there, if not almost there. So it's still a successful season campaign for Malacca, because would they have been able to cope focusing with the Malaysia Cup and the Super League? Well, it's very hard to say.
But what it has done is it's set the hunger in there for the players for next season.
Yeah, it's also been a very emotionally draining season for Malacca United, especially with the passing of their young goalkeeper, Stefan Petrovic.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So the squad has gone through plenty of emotional problems as well, but they've rallied through it as a team. And I agree with Vijay. I think they've looked solid in the Premier League, which is not a very bad league if you look at the level of competition. It's a pretty competitive league as well.
It's a slightly lower, but I don't think it's
there's too much difference. Yeah, and they've done really well for themselves. I'm really happy for the Malacca fans finally back.
Well done, Malacca. Yeah, unfortunately, no Malaysia Cup this year. It's Felda and N9 through from Group D. So Saturday's quarterfinals then look like this. You've got Negeri Sembilan against Kedah.
That's probably the best match.
Yeah, already it's the one that jumps out at you.
It's the only match that's going to get a crowd as well.
And we expect to see some football at least in there.
That's right. Cole will be interested in that game.
Oh yeah.
Who are you leaning towards on this one?
I've got to say Kedah, probably just a narrow win and probably finish things up in the second half.
Yeah, we all love to see an underdog win, but some days you just got to notice the gulf in class that exists, and I think Kedah just have that, as Vijay said, just have that minor edge in terms of quality.
Also on Saturday, Kelantan will take on PDRM. For PDRM, they're going to be, well, are they bothered about this? Are they more worried about their safety in the Super League? And
well, they should be, because they've got all the other teams bothered about the safety as well. So they have to just look at this competition, go in there, because Kelantan are not safe as well.
No.
Yeah,
but they're more safe than PDRM. And would you say Kelantan would want the Malaysia Cup more though?
Yeah, it's a trophy which looks a bit more capable for them. They have got a squad of maybe 13-14 players who are good enough.
Okay.
These players, some of them are good enough to walk into most teams.
Yeah. Okay.
And if they can stay fit, they can stay injury free, then I wouldn't be surprised to see them progress even to the semi-finals or even the final.
T-Team take on Felda United in the other quarter-final. Felda United, we heard after their blowout in the MSL, they're concentrating now on the Malaysia Cup. If you look at that, they do have a squad capable of winning it.
They're really going to go all out for this one. They now know that the Super League is out of reach. but the Malaysia Cup is it's an incredible opportunity to put out a statement of intent. I'm not too sure if Irfan Bhakti is keen on remaining there next year, but I think he will.
He should, I think.
Yeah, and
They've got AFC as well to look forward to next year,
yeah.
right?
So if they're gonna be there next year, if he's gonna be there and they're gonna push for the AFC Cup, and I'm pretty sure they also will be keen on challenging JDT again this year. They'd want to start that out by ending 2016 on a bang by doing well in the Malaysia Cup. But they're up against a very tricky side team. Yeah, on paper they're minnows, definitely, but you just cannot underestimate this.
You
team.
can't predict.
You just cannot
Yeah.
underestimate this team.
Okay, the last remaining quarterfinal then pits PKNS against Selangor.
PKNS.
Uh,
I'm not even going to think.
the infighting has got
You
to.
know, even with the whole crisis involving Gabby Guerra mid-season,
He still performs.
the team is still playing as a unit, as opposed to Selangor, who have just looked completely a mess.
So there you go, a very brief look at the quarterfinals. The semi-finals will pit the winners of N9 Kedah against the winners of Selangor PKNS, and winners of Kelantan PDRM will take on the winners of T-Team against Felda. That's it. We're out of time. We're done. We're all talked out. I'm going to say thanks to the two gents. Well done, Kesshanan.
Cheers, Ross.
And cheers to Vijay.
Thanks, guys.
And thank you for watching. Enjoy the week.
Follow us on Facebook and tune in next week for more Malaysian Football Weekly on All Sports Asia.